Okay, well, what's up, you guys? My name is Molly Van Marth. I'm an executive health and fitness coach. And today I have my client Carlos here with us. And I just wanted to have him share some of his experience in the program, what it's been like. I want to talk about his results because he's done a really great job, even with a very busy schedule, a lot of travel. He's an executive. So if you are an executive, you know what that lifestyle is like. Carlos, I guess maybe just start off with like a little introduction. Tell us what you do, who you are, a little bit about you.
So I run the largest public hospital system in the country, and I'm an older guy. I'm 73 years of age. I've always had a challenge with weight, although I actually work out a lot. Uh, and frankly, to your point about traveling, I do spend a lot of time on the road. So making sure I do the right things has always been a challenge.
Mm-hmm. And what were you doing before we started working together? Great point. You were already working out. A lot of the people I work with are already working out, and they're just seeing that the results are not what they're wanting to see. What were you doing
Well,
on your own?
Well, the point was for about a year before I met you, I started losing weight. I actually lost approximately 27 pounds over that period of time. I'm an avid cyclist. I do a lot of road cycling, about 150 to 200 miles a week, typically. And I was doing weights, but I had to drop myself to doing lower weights and higher reps,
Mm-hmm.
figuring that at my age, that was a way to firm up. Uh, and I thought I was doing the right things by cutting back on my carbs. The things I learned from you was that I probably was doing, not probably, I certainly was doing too much cardio. You cut me back from doing 5 or 6 days a week to doing 3 to 4 days a week, and now no more than an hour and 15 minutes where I was doing 2 and 3 hours a day. And beyond that, how to eat more protein. I never ate enough protein. And then the other thing that was actually very critical, you picked up my weights. You said, no, you got to do heavier weights and get yourself down to a normal reps. As I did that, what I found is my body. It took me a little while because I was turning fat into muscle. I wasn't losing as much weight at the beginning, but I ended up losing something like 16 pounds with you over a 6 month period. But more importantly, dramatically changed my body uh, from chubs to a little more muscle. So not only did I continue to lose weight, but more importantly, I built a lot of muscle mass that I had lost over time. And probably because I was doing too much cardio, not eating enough protein, and not doing enough weights. So those are the three things that you really change for me.
Definitely. Yeah, well said. I mean, it's crazy. We can see obliques, we can see, tricep indentions on your arms. It's pretty cool. You've done a really great job. Yeah, and what's exciting is again seeing the scale go down, right? Because if people have weight to lose, the scale is going to go down at some point. But you've had the advantage of seeing the scale go down, losing body fat, but also, like you said, gaining muscle mass. And so people need to know if you're going for health and also longevity, not just weight loss, you can't be sacrificing muscle mass and you can't be sacrificing your energy to see the scale go down a little bit. You really need multiple factors, working to your benefit. So with you, you've been able to gain muscle, lose body fat, gain better health in the process. And therefore you've been able to like feel better as you've lost weight. I know a lot of times people will be able to lose weight, but they're sacrificing feeling good for losing weight. And as an executive with, a career that demands a lot from you, you can't make that sacrifice with
You know,
your
the other thing I found was as I started doing heavier lower body weights, I was struggling by having a long meeting where I was sitting down. My knees would start hurting. I thought it was my age and everything else, and even with all the cycling that I was doing, it was not enough. Doing heavier weights and lower body weights actually gave me a lot more leg strength, and frankly, my knees are back to normal. I don't have a problem with my knees, no more aches or anything else. So actually, all that actually has helped me also from a quality of life perspective as well.
So good. That's awesome to hear. Yeah. And you can kind of see how it creates a vicious cycle when people start, and we all have aches and pains as we age, but it can also almost make you back off of weight training or strengthening that area if you start having pain in a certain part. And like you said, really the solution is building strength. It's always building strength. So, yeah, in terms of sustainability, because I think people, sometimes worry, oh my gosh, am I going to have to cook food in my kitchen 10 times a day for this? Am I going to have enough time to work out? How do you feel like this is in terms of doability with your lifestyle and all the travel and all the eating out? Like, do you feel like it's flexible enough?
I think it's extremely flexible. I eat in restaurants most of the time anyway. But what I've learned is how to get my proteins. I've learned about hard-boiled eggs, and from an egg white perspective, having pieces of chicken, slices of chicken available, so that provides a lot of additional protein for me. So I know those, and of course the protein bars and different kinds of protein supplements are also been quite helpful. So as long as when you go on a restaurant, you're having a healthy piece of fish or chicken or something like that, and some salads and good vegetables, it's actually worked out very well for me. It has not been an issue.
Pretty doable. And I know like we started off with tracking your food in the beginning, and just on our check-in a little bit ago, you were sharing, I obviously I can track if I need to, if you need to see the scale go down, you need to kind of get things back on track, you can always track, right? But it was cool to hear you say that you just kind of know how to eat now. And I think sometimes people really fear tracking or fear looking at the data because they've done it wrong before. Maybe they had their targets set wrong, or they've tracked food and been really hungry before. But the goal here is to track initially so that you get the template for what works well for you.
Well, initially, it really was more like 4 to 6 months because the idea of eating as much protein, it never got through my head how much protein you really needed.
Right.
So actually, the tracking really educated me on that, but it took me several months to get there.
Definitely, but it's worth doing. I mean, you see how powerful it is. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like a lot of times people have been like, well, I've tried eating protein before. I've tried tracking my food and it didn't work. Yeah, if you don't have an expert assessing what you're doing to show you, okay, maybe you ate protein, but you weren't hitting optimal amounts for you. Maybe you tried, setting your calorie limit, but maybe that wasn't right for you. It's so important that you're not just executing a plan. Because a lot of the people I work with are already executing plans and they're tracking and they're really sticking to whatever rules they have set up for themselves. If it's not the right template, it's not going to work. If it's not the right plan for you, it's not going to work for you. So that's what we've been able to do with working together one-on-one and truly looking at this isn't a generic plan, right? We have made adjustments all along the way that have been specifically for you, depending on what your progress has looked like and what your data tells us. So I think it's also really important for people to know that generic plans don't work. And yeah.
Frankly, the way we've done it with you monitoring what I eat, monitoring my workouts, and having those periodic meetings that we've been doing really has helped me quite a bit to do that. So I really want to thank you very much for helping me get to where I am right now.
Well, you've done a really good job, and I appreciate you for being consistent and executing so well, because there's always an excuse. People can always find excuses, but I think that when you see that it works and you see that it is sustainable, right? My goal is always to create something that is time condensed, isn't going to take over your life, but actually integrates with it. So I think that, it's always exciting to see that type of plan work because you can see yourself doing it for the rest of your life. It's not something that you have to eventually stop. How's your hunger been? I guess last question, because I think a lot of times people try diets and they try working out and they find themselves extremely hungry. And that's what can kind of throw them off the wagon to where they end up eating it all back and gaining all the weight back. How do you feel like this is in terms of sustainability with hunger and all that?
My hunger has been fine, especially like in the mid morning and mid afternoons. I'll have a protein bar or have some pieces of chicken. I'll have something that really gets my stomach busy and frankly gets that anxiousness out of the way. And I really haven't had those hunger feelings that I used to have either. So that's actually worked really well, and focusing on having in those supplemental meals being more protein has actually been another way to add protein to my system.
It's awesome. Definitely. Yeah. I think one of the biggest difference with using the method that I teach you is we're not so much focused on cutting everything out. You're not on a no carb diet. You're not on a no sugar diet. You've been able to enjoy wine and, normal food out, right? What we're really focused on here is keeping your hunger hormones, because there are hormones in our body that dictate how hungry we are. We're focused on having you eat a diet that keeps hunger very low. And so when it comes to eating in moderation and, enjoying things in moderation and just keeping your food intake at the right level for fat loss, it becomes effortless when your hunger is so low all the time. So a lot of times people think that they're not cut out for losing weight because they're so hungry all the time. And that's because their hunger is really not managed. So that's one of the things we focused on you, really even more than cutting foods out, is getting enough of the right foods that give you an advantage for losing weight the right way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, you've done a great job. I appreciate you sharing and, excited to see. I know you'll continue on from here, but I've really enjoyed working with you. So thanks so much for sharing, Carlos.
Same here, Molly. Take care.